You're fired. Consider it my gift to you. The text message burned into my retinas as I stood in my wedding dress, bouquet still in hand. Moments ago, I'd said, I do, to the love of my life. Now, in the church vestibule, surrounded by floating flower arrangements and the distant chatter of excited guests, I stared at my phone in disbelief. Tate Lawson, my boss's son, the man who'd made my work life miserable for 3 months, had chosen my wedding day, to terminate my employment. I showed the message to Karen, my brand new husband. His reaction surprised me. Instead of outrage, a knowing smile spread across his face. He took my trembling hands, kissed my knuckles, and whispered, "Check your messages later. Today belongs to us." How could he be so calm? I'd just lost my job as lead project manager at the most prestigious architecture firm in the city. The position I'd worked myself to exhaustion for. The career I'd built over 2 dedicated years. But something in Karen's eyes told me to trust him. So I silenced my phone, tucked it into my maid of honor's purse, and walked with my husband through the grand doors of the church, into a shower of rose petals and cheers. 3 hours later, during our first dance, Nima, my maid of honor, rushed over with wide eyes. "Waverly, your phone won't stop buzzing. You have 108 missed calls." I checked the screen. Calls from the office, from coworkers, and 17 from a number I recognized instantly. Gregory Lawson, the company owner himself, Tate's father. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a firing, this was the beginning of something much bigger than I could have imagined. Before I continue, if you're enjoying this story, please take a second to like and subscribe. Many listeners hear these stories but never engage, and that means you might miss future uploads when the algorithm skips you. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this ends. Now, back to my wedding day nightmare. My name is Waverly Abrams, and until that text message, I was the beating heart of Crescent Design Studio. I'm meticulous by nature, the kind of person who color codes her grocery lists and can spot a measurement error in architectural plans from across the room. My colleagues called me the database, because I remembered every client preference, every project detail, every deadline without needing to check notes. My parents were both teachers who valued precision and hard work. When Dad had his stroke during my first year of college, I nearly dropped out to help Mom with medical bills. Instead, I doubled my course load while working nights at a printing shop. I graduated with honors in architectural project management, with minor specializations in computer systems and urban planning. That's how I landed at Crescent 2 years ago. Gregory Lawson, the founder, recognized my unusual combination of architectural knowledge and systems thinking. He hired me to modernize their project management approach. I designed a proprietary system from scratch, one that tracked every blueprint version, client request, budget allocation, and permit application. The system worked brilliantly. Project completion times dropped by 30%. Client satisfaction scores rose. Gregory called me the best investment this company ever made. Then came Tate. At 32, Tate Lawson had bounced between 3 different divisions of his father's company, never finding his footing. He had his father's square jaw and confident stance, but none of his business acumen or people skills. 3 months ago, Gregory announced his semi-retirement and promoted Tate to department director, my direct supervisor. The atmosphere changed instantly. Where Gregory sought my input, Tate excluded me from meetings. Where Gregory praised my innovations publicly, Tate took credit for my ideas. When I scheduled training sessions to document my system for others, Tate canceled them as unnecessary expenses. I met Karen during this time, when I was submitting plans for Crescent's biggest project ever, a downtown revitalization worth millions. He worked at the city's permit office, the calm, thoughtful man behind the counter who actually took time to review submissions thoroughly instead of just rubber stamping them. We connected over blueprint discussions, then coffee breaks, then dinner dates. Karen became my sanctuary from the increasingly hostile work environment. What I didn't know then was that he was noticing concerning patterns in the submissions from Crescent, specifically the ones Tate had handled personally. 2 months into our relationship, Karen proposed. We planned a small wedding on short notice, Partly because we were both practical people who didn't need extravagance, and partly because I sensed my position at Crescent was becoming precarious. Tate had been making comments about restructuring and streamlining. I never imagined he'd actually fire me on my wedding day. As the reception continued around me, I excused myself to the bridal suite and listened to Gregory's voicemail. "Waverly, this is Gregory. Call me immediately. Tate had no authority to terminate you. There's been a terrible mistake. We need you. The downtown project submission deadline is Monday, and no one can access your system." 6 more messages followed, each more desperate than the last. In the final one, Gregory's voice had lost its usual confidence. "Waverly, please. The Westside development team is threatening to walk. No one can find the updated renderings. The password Tate thought would work doesn't. We're at a standstill." I sat on the edge of a velvet settee, my wedding dress pooling around me, and felt something unexpected. Power. For 2 years, I'd built a system so intuitive for me that I navigated it without thought, but so complex that no one else could use it without proper training. Training that Tate had repeatedly prevented. I was the only person alive who fully understood every function, every shortcut, every fail-safe I'd built in. And now, on what should have been the worst professional day of my life, I held every card. Karen found me there, staring at my phone. He sat beside me, careful not to wrinkle my dress. "I should tell you something," he said quietly. "The plans Tate has been submitting to my department? He's been altering them after the engineering team signs off, removing safety features, substituting cheaper materials, things that would never pass proper inspection." My blood ran cold. "That's not just unethical, it's dangerous." Karen nodded. "I've been documenting everything. I was going to report it next week. But now." I understood then why he'd smiled at the firing text. This wasn't a setback. It was an opportunity, one that removed me from legal liability while simultaneously leaving the company helpless without me. "What should we do?" I asked. Karen smiled. "Nothing. Not today. Today, we dance. Tomorrow, we fly to Belize for our honeymoon. And when we return," he kissed my forehead, "we'll reshape the entire landscape." We returned to the reception, and I danced like a woman without a care in the world. By midnight, I had 212 missed calls. Throughout our honeymoon week, the calls continued. I sent them all to voicemail. Gregory's messages evolved from urgent to desperate to practically begging. On our 3rd day in Belize, while Karen and I were sipping fresh coconut water on the beach, Gregory offered to triple my salary if I'd come back. I deleted the message without responding. 2 days later, he offered partial ownership in the firm. Again, I didn't respond. Karen watched me decline these incredible offers without comment. He understood something fundamental about me. This had never been about money. It was about respect. "You know," he said as we watched the sunset on our final evening in Belize, "there's a vacancy in the consulting team for the city planning department. They need someone who understands architectural submissions from both sides. Someone who could create guidelines for proper protocols." I turned to him, intrigued. "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" "I'm suggesting you start your own consulting firm, with the city as your first client. They'd pay for your expertise in creating systems that catch exactly the kind of corner-cutting Tate was doing." The idea took root instantly. By the time our plane landed back home, I'd drafted a business plan on my tablet. 3 days later, I registered Precision Protocol Consulting. My phone rang within minutes of the business registration going public. Gregory Lawson. For the first time in 2 weeks, I answered. "Waverly, thank God, we're in crisis. The downtown project is stalled. Clients are walking. Please, name your price." "I'm sorry to hear that, Gregory," I said calmly. "But I'm no longer available for employment. I've started my own consulting firm." "We'll hire your firm then. Whatever you're charging, we'll pay it." I let the silence stretch between us. "My first client is the city planning department, Gregory. I'm designing new verification protocols for building submissions." The sharp intake of breath told me he understood the implications. If I was working with the city to create better verification systems, I would inevitably discover Tate's dangerous alterations, if Karen hadn't already reported them. Waverly, please. Tate made a terrible mistake. He was jealous of your relationship with me, of your competence. Let me fix this. Some things can't be fixed, Gregory. Some bridges, once burned, stay ash. I ended the call and turned to Karen, who had been listening nearby. Is it wrong that felt so good? He shook his head. It's not wrong to stand up for yourself, or for public safety. The following week, I began my contract with the city. With my insider knowledge of how firms like Crescent operated, I quickly identified vulnerabilities in the current verification system. I created new protocols that would catch unauthorized changes to approved plans, especially structural modifications made without engineering review. As part of the process, the city conducted an audit of recent submissions. Predictably, they found numerous violations in Crescent's downtown project plans, specifically in submissions handled by Tate. Load-bearing walls thinned, foundation specifications altered, safety features removed to cut costs. The investigation was swift and damning. The downtown project was permanently halted and reassigned to a competing firm. Tate wasn't just fired, he was blacklisted throughout the industry. His professional license was suspended pending review. Crescent Design Studio lost millions. Their reputation, built over 30 years, crumbled in 30 days. Through industry contacts, I heard that Gregory had suffered a minor heart attack from the stress. Despite everything, that news brought me no pleasure. Gregory had been a good mentor before his blind spot for his son clouded his judgment. My consulting business thrived. Within 6 months, I had contracts with 3 municipal governments and was hiring staff to keep up with demand. Karen received a promotion at the permit office for his ethical stand. We bought our first home, a fixer-upper with good bones and incredible potential, just like our life together. Then, 1 year to the day after my wedding, a thick cream envelope arrived at my office. Inside was a handwritten letter from Gregory Lawson. Dear Waverly, it began. Some debts can never be fully repaid, but acknowledgement is the beginning of atonement. I've spent this year rebuilding what my son and my own negligence destroyed. Tate has completed a professional ethics program and works now in a junior position under strict supervision. He understands the gravity of his actions. Crescent has new leadership and new protocols. We've rehauled every system and every submission process. We are a different company now. I'm writing to ask if you would consider meeting with me. Not to return, I understand that bridge is indeed ash, but to consult on our new systems, to ensure we never fail the public trust again. Whether you accept or decline, please know my respect for you has only grown. You were right to stand your ground, right to protect the public, right to demand better. With sincere regret and admiration, Gregory Lawson. I showed the letter to Karen that evening. What do you think? Should I meet with him? Karen considered it carefully. What would be your purpose in going? Closure? Vindication? Professional curiosity? I pondered his question. All of those, I suppose. And maybe to see if genuine change is possible. Then I think you have your answer. I scheduled the meeting for the following week. When my assistant told me Gregory had requested the meeting take place at Crescent's offices rather than mine, I almost canceled. Returning to that building felt like stepping backward, but curiosity won out. When I arrived, the receptionist, a new face I didn't recognize, greeted me with unusual deference. Miss Abrams, Mr. Lawson is waiting in the main conference room. As I walked through the hallways, I noticed significant changes. New faces, new energy, new systems visible on screens. As I passed workstations, they'd truly started over. The conference room door was open. I stepped in to find not just Gregory but Tate as well, sitting stiffly beside his father. Gregory stood to greet me, but Tate remained seated, eyes fixed on the table. Waverly, thank you for coming. Gregory's handshake was firm, but his face looked aged beyond the single year that had passed. Stress had carved new lines around his eyes. I took a seat across from them. Your letter was unexpected. As was the education of this past year, Gregory replied, but necessary. He glanced at his son. Tate has something to say to you. Tate finally looked up. The arrogant gleam I remembered had vanished from his eyes, replaced by something unfamiliar, humility. or at least its closest approximation. I owe you an apology, he said, voice barely above a whisper. What I did was unprofessional, vindictive, and potentially dangerous to the public. There's no excuse for my behavior. His words sounded rehearsed, but the shame coloring his face appeared genuine. Still, an apology couldn't erase the past. Apology noted, I replied, neither accepting nor rejecting it outright. Gregory cleared his throat. There's more. He slid a folder across the table. This company has been rebuilt from its foundation. New safety protocols, new review processes, new leadership structure. Tate is no longer in management. He's relearning the business properly this time, from the ground up. I opened the folder. Inside was a detailed overview of their new systems, impressively thorough, I had to admit, along with a consultant contract offering a substantial fee for my review and recommendations. We're not asking you to come back, Gregory clarified, just to evaluate our new approach, to ensure we've truly changed. As I scanned the documents, Tate stood suddenly. There's something else. His voice cracked slightly. He left the room, returning moments later with a smaller envelope, which he placed before me with shaking hands. Inside was a check, for exactly the amount of my entire wedding, down to the penny for the last flower arrangement. How did you know this figure? I asked, suspicious. Your wedding planner is my cousin's best friend, Gregory admitted. I asked for the total. I wanted it to be precise. Tate spoke again, this time more steadily. Consider it our gift to you, the one I claimed to be giving when I had no right. A flash of anger surged through me. Did they really think money could fix this? That they could buy their way back to ethical standing? Before I could respond, Tate placed a small USB drive beside the check. This also belongs to you. It's the entire project management system you created, with all the passwords and access points. We've managed to recreate basic functionality, but it's never worked properly without you. It's yours to take or delete. I stared at the tiny drive, feeling the weight of 2 years' work condensed into something I could hold between 2 fingers. The system I'd built with such care, that had been used as a weapon against me when Tate prevented others from learning it. In that moment, looking at these 2 men, one broken by his own ethical failings, the other humbled by the consequences of his arrogance, I realized something profound about revenge. Sometimes it arrives without you having to deliver it yourself. Sometimes the greatest vengeance is simply surviving, thriving, and watching others reckon with the mess they've made. I closed the folder and stood up. I'll review your proposals and get back to you within the week. My fee will be triple your initial offer, paid in advance. My team will need complete access and full transparency. Gregory nodded immediately. Agreed. And one more condition. I looked directly at Tate. You personally will complete every single training module I assign, no matter how basic or time-consuming. You'll learn every aspect of proper project management, ethical submission practices, and regulatory compliance. You'll become the company's foremost expert on doing things the right way. Color drained from Tate's face, but he nodded. Yes, I understand. Then we might have something to discuss. I gathered my belongings and walked to the door, pausing with my hand on the handle. Oh, and Gregory? The check is unnecessary. Seeing your son learn the value of integrity will be gift enough. I left them sitting there, the check untouched on the table, and walked out of Crescent Design Studio with my head high. But this isn't where my story ends. It's where the real transformation began. That evening, as Karen and I discussed the meeting over dinner, my phone pinged with a news alert. Crescent's competitor, the firm that had taken over the downtown revitalization project, was under investigation for bribery. They had allegedly paid off officials to fast-track approvals despite serious design flaws. Did you know about this? I asked Karen. He shook his head. The investigation just opened today. It's being handled by the state, not the city. I stared at my phone, mind racing. If Crescent's competitor fell, the downtown project would be in limbo again. Millions in development funds would sit idle. Workers would lose jobs. And the community revitalization everyone had been promising for years would stall once more. Maybe this is why Gregory reached out now, Karen suggested. He must have known this was coming. He's positioning Crescent to retake the project. The realization hit me like a thunderbolt. I wasn't being offered a consulting job out of respect or regret. I was being courted because Gregory needed my systems and expertise to seize an opportunity when his competitor failed. I felt used all over again. "What are you going to do?" Karen asked, seeing the storm gathering in my expression. I pushed my plate away. Appetite gone. "I'm going to sleep on it. This requires careful thought." But sleep eluded me that night. I tossed and turned, replaying the meeting in my mind. Was Tate's contrition genuine, or just another performance? Was Gregory truly committed to ethical reform, or simply desperate to salvage his legacy? And most importantly, what did I want my role to be in whatever happened next? By morning, I had my answer. I called Gregory at 7 a.m. "I've reconsidered your offer," I told him. "I'm not interested in consulting for Crescent." The disappointment in his silence was palpable. "I understand," he finally said. "However," I continued, "I am interested in something else. A partnership." "A partnership?" His voice lifted with surprise. "My company oversees all project management and regulatory compliance. Crescent handles design and construction. We operate as separate entities but present as partners to clients. This way, I maintain my independence while ensuring ethical standards are met." "That's highly unusual," Gregory said slowly. "So is firing someone on their wedding day?" I countered. "I'm not interested in returning to a company where I could be undermined again, but I am interested in seeing that downtown project completed properly. The community deserves that." There was a long pause. "What about Tate? Where does he fit in this arrangement?" "Tate works for you, not me. But any project he touches goes through triple verification by my team. No exceptions." Another pause. "I'll need to discuss this with my board." "You have 24 hours, I replied. "After that, I'll be presenting my own proposal to the city for the downtown project." I ended the call feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Complete ownership of my future. No longer was I reacting to what had been done to me. I was creating something new. On my terms. 23 hours later, Gregory called back. "The board has approved your proposal. With one addition. They want a 3-year minimum commitment. 2 years. With an option to extend based on performance metrics that we both agree to in advance." I countered. "Done." And just like that, Precision Protocol Consulting had its biggest client yet. When the competitor firm was officially removed from the downtown project 2 weeks later, our newly formed partnership was ready with updated plans, enhanced safety features, and a comprehensive management system that combined the best of my original design with new security protocols. The city awarded us the contract, partly due to our innovative partnership structure that promised both creative design and rigorous compliance verification. The press called it a new model for architectural accountability. Tate was assigned as Junior Project Coordinator, a position 5 levels below his previous role. Every morning, he received a detailed training module from my team. Every evening, he was tested on the material. If he failed, he repeated the module the next day. To my surprise, he never complained. He completed each assignment meticulously, asked thoughtful questions, and gradually began to show genuine understanding of why protocols existed. 3 months into our partnership, I arrived early at the construction site for an inspection and found Tate already there, methodically checking concrete pour specifications against the approved plans. "You don't have to personally verify this," I told him. "That's what the site engineers are for." He straightened up, clipboard in hand. "I know, but I need to understand every aspect from the ground up. That's the only way I'll truly learn." I studied him, searching for signs of the arrogant young man who'd fired me by text. Instead, I saw someone different, someone chastened by failure and genuinely striving to rebuild himself. "Why did you do it?" I asked suddenly. "Why fire me on my wedding day specifically?" Tate flinched but held my gaze. "Because I knew you were right. About everything. The training programs, the safety concerns, the need for better documentation. And I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand that you'd built something so essential that even my father respected you more than me." So you tried to hurt me at my most vulnerable moment. He nodded, shame evident in his posture. I thought I'd feel powerful. Instead, I watched everything collapse. The system nobody could navigate. The projects nobody could track. My father's face when he realized what I'd done. He swallowed hard. I destroyed in one moment what might have been the best mentorship I could have had. His words hung in the morning air between us, unexpectedly genuine. You can't undo the past, I said finally. But you're right about one thing. I would have been a good mentor. I still could be, if you earn it. Hope flickered across his face. How? By becoming the kind of professional who puts safety and integrity above ego. By learning every aspect of this business properly. By admitting when you don't know something instead of hiding it. I can do that, he said with quiet determination. I will do that. I nodded. Then let's start with these poor specifications. Show me what you found. For the next hour, I walked him through proper verification procedures, explaining rationales rather than just rules. He absorbed everything with genuine interest, asking intelligent questions that revealed a mind capable of much more than I'd given him credit for. As we finished and others began arriving for the day's work, Tate hesitated, then asked, "Do you think you'll ever truly forgive me?" I considered the question carefully. Forgiveness isn't something you're owed. It's something that might develop over time, through consistent actions rather than apologies. Show me who you're becoming, not who you regret being. He nodded, accepting the challenge without protest. Over the following months, the downtown project progressed ahead of schedule. Our partnership model received national attention, with other municipalities expressing interest in similar arrangements. My consulting firm expanded to 15 employees, while Crescent gradually rebuilt its reputation under the new structure. Gregory, true to his word, kept Tate on a strict learning path. The young man who had once sabotaged training sessions now organized them himself, ensuring every team member understood both the how and why of proper procedures. 6 months into the project, I received an unexpected visit at my office from Raina, my former assistant at Crescent. She'd stayed when I left, and now worked directly with Gregory. He wants to promote Tate, she told me without preamble, to assistant project manager. I raised an eyebrow. And he sent you to test my reaction? She smiled. He sent me to get your honest assessment. Tate has completed all the training modules with perfect scores. His site reports are exemplary. The team actually respects him now. And what do you think? I asked. Raina had always been perceptive about people. I think he's genuinely changed. And I think having responsibility might solidify that change. I leaned back in my chair, considering. Tell Gregory I'll support the promotion with one condition. Tate needs to handle the upcoming community presentation. Alone. Let's see how he does when representing the project to the people it actually affects. The community presentation was scheduled for the following week, a critical milestone where we would update neighborhood residents on construction progress, timeline, and how their input had shaped design modifications. It was a high-pressure situation, with potentially hostile questions from residents who'd seen previous promises broken. I attended incognito, sitting in the back row of the community center. Tate arrived early, setting up displays and greeting people personally as they entered. When he stepped to the podium, I noticed something surprising. He was nervous. The old Tate would have covered insecurity with arrogance. This version acknowledged it directly. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tate Lawson, Assistant Project Coordinator. Some of you may remember when this project stalled last year. That failure was partly due to my mistakes. Shortcuts. I tried to take that compromised safety and violated your trust. A murmur ran through the crowd. This level of candor was unexpected. I'm here today not just to update you on our progress, but to assure you that every aspect of this project now undergoes triple verification. Our partnership with Precision Protocol Consulting means nothing reaches construction without rigorous safety and compliance review. He proceeded to walk through the updated plans, highlighting areas where community feedback had directly influenced design changes.